In today's video, guys, I want to talk about one of the most powerful SR units in Etheria Restart. I think, in my opinion, the most powerful SR unit in the game and definitely the most used SR unit on my account. First, I want to give a massive shout out to Etheria Restart for sponsoring today's video, and welcome to the channel, everybody. If you guys haven't tried the game out, click on that link in the description down below and give it a go. Viper, guys. Now, one thing that I do want to mention and that I really like about the game is the fact that not only SSR units are insane, okay? If we're talking about the entire roster all around, I feel like it's a very healthy roster of characters. A lot of very useful SR units. And the craziest thing is that a lot of these SR units are literally at the top of the meta in PvP as well, not just PvE. But in today's video, I really want to talk about Viper. I will be doing tons of spotlights on different characters because I love doing that. But I'm going to share with you guys a couple of different builds that you can use on Viper for PvP, for PvE. And I'm going to walk you through some of the content where I'm actually using him. Absolutely insane. So, what makes him so good? Basically, is this skill right here. Has a chance to remove buffs from the enemies. And of course, to put decrease attack and decrease speed. Now, he can remove two different buffs. So he is a buff stripper. The passive is really good because friends should never be abandoned. Reduces the damage taken by all allies from crit hits by 30%. Now in this meta, especially in PvP, having that on is absolutely massive. Next to your bloodbath, right? If Viper is able to take action when an ally is attacked, he has a 12% chance to counterattack with the skill, and when an ally receives a crit hit, the chance increases to 60%. Now, he is insane in guild versus guild. Insane in pretty much all of the PvE content and PvP. And we're talking about bosses, like literally every single boss, more or less. The single skill has a chance to put a silence too, and he's going to gain the serpent skin. Now, I actually fully skilled mine, okay? And absolutely no regrets because, as I've mentioned, he is probably the most used SR unit on my account. So all of the skills are maxed. Now, I've encountered a very nasty Viper in the last guild versus guild around a week ago. He absolutely demolished my entire team because he had a pretty nasty hybrid damage-ish build, more or less, something like that. But he was demolishing my team, guys. So for PvP, we're going to try a different build. But for PvE, now in terms of a shell, it really depends what shells you have on other characters as well. But I find the Gigabyte to work really good. For example, in Aurora, you can definitely run an artisan shell on him. I feel like for PvE, these two are definitely the best in slot, right? Like he's going to use that third skill like a madman. When you're talking about stats, the main thing you want to prioritize is, of course, having high effect accuracy, high speed. Now, how fast you want him, that once again, it really depends what else you have in your team. How fast are the other units and all that. But somewhere at around 180, 200 effect accuracy, it's kind of like the sweet spot for the Inferno stages. Truth be told, I'm still getting resisted more or less the same, even if I'm going to put 250 effect accuracy on him, right? And it's just the freaking RNG. It's definitely very annoying to get resisted as often as you are, but hey, it gets the job done most of the times, right? So where am I using Viper? Well, let's start with the Union. I'm actually using him right here too, in the Anchor Reckon, especially on phase 4, depending on what boss we have. I am using mine in the Phantom Theater too, to strip buffs. Most of the bosses from there, they will gain a lot of buffs. You can definitely use him in the Amber Track, Ethernet Rally, Anti-Sync Echoes, all of those game modes, okay? But when we're talking about the Grim Pursuit, I am using mine in Rangokutsu. I feel like he's really important in here, at least in my opinion, to make this run feel safer, smoother. Now, I don't have all of the team build at the moment. Probably even on the presets, I need to check Lilium and stuff. But that's kind of like how my team looks. It's not a fast team or anything like that, okay? But if I'm bringing Lily instead of Viper, I'm gonna have a very high fail rate. I will win every now and then, but it's more looking like a team that's about to fail rather than win more often, right? With Viper, this makes it more safe, more successful. So that's why I'm running him in here. But I'm pretty convinced that if we are going to look at some of the runs in a lot of the dungeons, you're gonna see Viper in a lot of teams. Now these are speedrun teams, so most likely you won't find him in there. But if we're gonna look at clear time, recent clears, actually, you see Viper right there, Viper right there, Viper right there, right there, right there. He's freaking everywhere because he's so damn powerful. Now, I'm not really using him in any of the other three. So not in Nikonana, that's much easier than Rangokutsu, who is so freaking OP. But he is very, very powerful. Now, for the threshold, you can run him in a lot of different areas if you want to, but in here, I'm only using him in Aurora, okay? And probably if we're gonna have a look at, even here, even on the speedruns, he's part of them, right? So he's just freaking goated, guys. Like, if you haven't invested in your Viper, do it. So let me just quickly tell you one of the mistakes that I've done in Etheria Restart. And I actually made a video talking about a few of the things that I regret doing and I wish I would have done differently. And not leveling up Viper before Holden was one of those mistakes. I got Holden as an SSR. I was like, yeah, he's gonna be amazing. He's literally the GOAT that I need for Aurora and all the other content. Well, I built him, I brought him into Aurora, and my team was failing more or less 50% of the time. And the main reason for it is not that Holden is a bad character or anything like that, because he's really, really good. But Viper has this skill on a 3-turn cooldown. Plus, he has the ability to freaking counterattack with this skill, which makes it even crazier. And then you're looking at Holden on a 4-turn cooldown, right? So that was the problem. Viper is overall just much, much better. You might not like what you hear, but that is the reality. At least for this particular niche type of content. Buff, stripping, and heck, it's not even that niche. So this is kind of like one of the builds that I would recommend you to run in PvE. Now, the stats do not necessarily need to be the same. You kind of like want to get a swift rush, make sure you're fast enough. But I do like to use time whiff on a lot of my characters, especially a character like him. Like in Aurora, they're going to get that freaking immunity buff non-freaking stop. So having the ability to remove it as often as possible is going to be absolutely massive. Now, talking about PvP, guys, we're gonna try a bit of a hybrid build, okay? He's not as fast as I would like him to be. You have so many options for PvP, starting with Bloodbath and something for damage, starting with immunity, starting with crazy speed and accuracy like you have in PvE. Like, honestly, you have almost unlimited ways on how you can build the character because he's just so freaking versatile and good. But as I was mentioning, last week, during the guild versus guild, I got my ass destroyed by one Viper. Probably, I've lost three times versus that team, thinking about it, in guild versus guild. And he was very nasty. So, I've gave him some accuracy because I still want him to land the debuffs. Probably, if we want to land the debuffs only on their damage dealers or stuff like that, we don't necessarily need to run an accuracy piece. We're going to be able to do it without it, just by getting some accuracy from substats. And they usually don't really have high resistance or anything like that. So that should get the job done more or less. But let's do one fight to actually see how he plays out in here. How much damage we can actually do with a Viper. Is he going to go like crazy or so, right? So if we're gonna drop him out of here, we do not need him on the team. And I don't really have like a full bruiser team built at the moment because the lattice is just pretty hard to get, right? But we can actually drop that out and bring in a class 2. Assuming that we are going to be a bit faster. So we're gonna buff and do all of the other things. And then we are going to... Okay, so we are fast enough to literally cut on my entire team. So let's start like this. We're going to put the defense down and stuff after. The damage is not crazy to one-shot them or anything like that. But considering that they have the decreased attack and the decreased speed, which is going to come even more from the rest, when they're attacking me now, not only they're not going to do enough damage, but if we get to counterattack once or twice, it's more or less GG's and the enemy team will die. More or less, right? Like, let's see. Heinrich dropping in. Are we pinching a counterattack? Okay, Siada, let's see. Look at the damage. Like, they're not really doing that much. I was just checking. Do they have shells on? To make sure they do. So they're down. And he should be putting a bit of more damage. Now, I just gave him the White Fang as a shell at the moment. I don't think at all that this is the best option. But I just wanted to try a bit of a hybrid build. So if we're talking about shells, like, you have, once again, quite a few options. It really depends how you are building him. You're going for a stupid hybrid build like this. I just wanted to see a bit of damage and stuff. And I had that built up to kind of like give me the damage sets available. But basically, you can always go even with an Alicorn if you have the right matrix effects. You can go, for example, even with a Gigabyte. Gigabyte is pretty damn nasty on him because that enables him to rotate quite fast. An Artisan could work on a build like this, but probably not necessarily the best idea. You can definitely go with a Jackal Guard if you have something nice on the matrix effects. Or heck, you can even go with a lot of Silence and still gain quite a bit of value out of Viper. But an absolute freaking monster unit, guys. I would strongly recommend you to build him. If you haven't built him now by any chance, if you're relying on different buff strippers, you are definitely missing out. As usual, appreciate all of you guys watching. If you enjoyed the content, make sure you smash a like, subscribe, and big shout out to Etheria Restart for sponsoring today's video. I will catch you all in the next one. Peace.